Discover the latest health tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories. This is the Health Channel Podcast. Your journey to better health starts now.
Your home may look perfectly safe, but for some pets, everyday items can become deadly hazards. Toxic plants, electric cords, a child's toy, and even one arrogant grape can trigger a medical emergency. Today, we break down the biggest risks for dogs, cats, and rabbits and how to pet-proof every room in your house, as well as answer your pet-related questions on this episode of Ask the Doc, No Appointment Needed. Hi, guys. Welcome to Ask the Doc, the show where we encourage our viewers to send in their health questions. I am Dr. Joy Carter, a doctor of veterinary medicine, and today we're focusing on making your home as safe as possible when bringing home a new pet. All right, let's get started, guys. Our first question comes from Tristan, who just reached out through our website, allhealthtv.com. Doctor, my girlfriend and I just adopted a Persian cat. Is it really important to pet-proof a house for a 4-year-old cat that has probably been around the block and should know what to look out for? So remind me again what happens when you assume. So yes, definitely. Even though your cat is older, there are certainly some things that your pet or your cat can get into that can still cause lots of problems. The big thing with cats, I would say the number one toxicity issues we tend to see are going to be plants, okay? There are definitely quite a bit of toxic plants out there. And so I typically recommend doing your research before you bring any type of new plant or flower into your home. Or if you already have some plants and flowers in your home, doing some research before you bring the cat in and find out if they're safe or not. Other things that tend to be bad for cats is cats like to play. They like to chew on things. So definitely electrical cords can sometimes cause a problem. So you want to make sure that you have your cords put up safe or you have something covering them, the cords that are exposed. Definitely ribbon, plastic, string, you want all of that to be put away so cats cannot get to it. It doesn't matter how old your cat is. Some cats are just attracted to that. My personal cat at home loves plastic. Anytime I get something from Amazon or something that's got, plastic in it, first thing I have to do is I have to throw it away, because if I do not, within the next 1 or 2 minutes, I'm going to catch my cat chewing on it. And my cat's 8 years old. She never learns. Thankfully, I've never had any issues with her getting an obstruction or a foreign body, but that can certainly happen. So best to keep those products and stuff away. So good luck with your new cat, Tristan, okay? All right. Our next question is from Eloise, who reached out to us through Facebook. Hi, Dr. Joy. We used to always hide pills and peanut butter when giving our dogs medication, but the guy at the pet store just told us that this can be really dangerous. If that's the case, what else should we use? The fact of the matter is peanut butter is not toxic, okay? There's really no such thing as a peanut allergy in animals. Now, obviously, humans can have a peanut allergy. And so if there's anyone in your house that has one, then I certainly would recommend probably not using peanut butter to give medications for. Only issues that I've seen sometimes with peanut butter is just like any other type of human food that is not in their normal diet or something that they get every day. It can sometimes cause some gastrointestinal upset. If you have a pet that seems to be very sensitive or has a very sensitive stomach, then I would recommend there are some things called pill pockets. There are several different companies that make different types, but they're basically these really soft chews that have kind of like a hole in the center. And so you can stuff the medication in that and kind of fold it over and you just give it to them as a treat. I've also told owners they can sometimes take some canned dog food and kind of make a little bit of a meatball with it. They can stuff the medication in that. I have also sometimes told owners they could use a little bit of cream cheese, but you do have to be careful again with any products that contain dairy because sometimes that can cause some upset. So as far as a pet store guy, he lied to you. Well, I don't want to say he lied to you, but he didn't know the facts. Peanut butter is fine if you want to give them medications, but there definitely are some other options out there. Okay. All right. So our next question comes to us from Facebook, and this is from one of our loyal viewers, and this is from Dante. Hello, Dr. Carter. We want to get a rabbit or two for the kids. We think they're ready for pets. So what do rabbit owners need to know about rabbit proofing a home? Hi, Dante. That is a really great question. It's actually not a question that I would expect to get, but rabbits, they can get into things just like dogs and cats can. So basically, rabbits, they like to chew, they like to dig, and they like small spaces. Okay. So the problem with liking to chew, the big thing we're going to see is electrical cords. Just like I mentioned in the other question with Tristan, same thing with cats. Cats like to chew. Electrical cords can be a hazard to rabbits. So definitely you want to put away your cords, or if you have any cords that have to be exposed, you want to have something that's going to cover them because they can certainly get electrocuted and they can certainly get electrical burns, which can be pretty serious. The other thing is hiding into small spaces, okay? You want to make sure any small spaces that you have that you try and do something to block that off, okay? If you're not able to block off an area, say like your laundry room, okay? There's a lot of nooks and crannies. They can get behind the washer, they can get behind the dryer, a lot of things like that. Then you want to see about maybe putting up a baby gate. That is a great way if you want to let your rabbits roam in an area of your house, but you want to keep them from going into a certain room. Definitely recommend a baby gate. That's also good for dogs and possibly for cats, but a lot of cats, depending on how high the baby gate is, can jump over. Okay. The other thing that you do have to be careful with is not so much that they're going to hurt themselves, but they may cause some damage to your home is furniture or anything that is wood, like the baseboards. Rabbits love to chew and they will chew at anything. So while it might not hurt the rabbit, it might hurt, the look of your house and it might hurt your pocket trying to get that replaced. The other thing is going to be like carpets and rugs that have a lot of fibers, things like that. They can certainly chew on those. While maybe replacing a rug is not so expensive, I know carpet certainly can. The big problem with that is it can cause like a foreign body or an obstruction in rabbits. We talked about this on another episode, how rabbits can certainly get hairballs and those can cause an obstruction. Well, they can kind of get the same thing by ingesting fibers and things like that from the rugs or the carpet. So you definitely want to be careful with that. And then plants too. Just like with dogs and cats, there are some certain plants that are toxic to rabbits. Things like lily, actually aloe vera plant, which I did not know this until I was doing some research the other day. Ivy, tulips, daffodils, all of those plants can be toxic. So those definitely are plants that you want to either keep high up, out of reach, or either you just want to keep them out of the house completely. So, all right. Hopefully this answers your questions and good luck with all those rabbits you're going to get, okay? So our next question comes from Santos, who visited us on Instagram. Hola, Dr. Carter. My husband and I just left our small apartment and moved into a house. We have more room for our 2 dogs, 3 cats, and a parakeet. We're also ready for some plants and flowers, but which ones are toxic for pets? Hola, Santos. That is quite a family you're going to have in your home. All right, so let's get started, okay, guys? So first of all, a lot of the plants that are toxic to cats are going to be toxic to dogs. And actually, some of the plants that are toxic to dogs and cats can be toxic to birds too. But let me kind of first go over dogs and cats. So your number one, I would say most toxic plant that we tend to see as far as, especially for cats, is going to be lilies, okay? Lilies are extremely toxic. Any part of the lily, okay, basically the flower, the pollen, the stem, the leaves, any of that. And even just a very small amount of it can be toxic in cats. In particular, in cats, it causes kidney failure, okay? It can be very severe, and unfortunately, sometimes it can be even life-threatening. All right. Another one, which you guys are probably not growing at your house, but because, a lot of states now it can be used for medicinal purposes and for recreation use in some states, is going to be marijuana. Okay. Marijuana toxicity, I see, is probably one of the number one toxicities that I see working in the emergency room. Okay. Definitely, people like to light up, but it's not really safe for your pets. All right. And it certainly can cause, some major problems if there is a large amount that is ingested. Majority of the time, the pets that I see that come in with marijuana toxicity are honestly just a little bit high. Okay. And those guys are going to be okay. We just give them some sub-Q fluids, give them sometimes medication for nausea, and just basically kind of let them chill out for a few hours until it gets out of their system. But if they ingest, a lot of times I know there's like wax they have those vape pens that have very concentrated forms of marijuana in it. Those certainly can be a lot more toxic, and pets can come in and they can be having seizures, neurological signs, things that could be very severe and could be very life threatening. So definitely, if you're someone that does like to, use marijuana for whatever purpose, just make sure you keep it away from your pets. All right. Another type of plant is, I think, yew is what is called an oleander. They are toxic to pets. They can cause what we call CNS signs or central nervous system signs. So that's going to be things like seizures, depression, tremors, anything like that. Sago palm. While most people don't really have sago palm in their house because I think it's pretty much like a little bit larger, what we call like an ornamental plant, it is definitely very toxic. I've seen cases of it, and it can cause liver failure, which it can be treated, but it can be very expensive. The last case that I saw of sago palm toxicity, the owners walked away with a hefty bill of $15,000. Their dog was in the hospital for close to 2 weeks, basically us trying to get this dog out of liver failure and then all the secondary complications that come along with it. So better safe than sorry if you got pets. If just don't even have that plant around, okay? Because it is very, very toxic. Other things like castor beans, they can cause like seizures, neurological signs. Tulips can actually cause neurological signs and can affect the heart. Azaleas is another popular plant. It can cause vomiting, weakness, and even heart problems. And there's something called pothos, I think is the name. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right, but it's another type of plant that can cause some gastrointestinal irritation. Now, as far as with birds, okay, the plants that tend to be the most toxic with your birds are going to be things like, I think it's a morning glory is a type of plant. Lilies also too are toxic to birds. Oleander, foxglove, ivy and yew, mistletoe, daffodils, tulips, or all of those are definitely can be toxic to birds. So, honestly, I say better safe than sorry. I think just if you do have a pet, you know, maybe having those plants outside where the pet doesn't have access to it is fine, but I certainly wouldn't recommend keeping them in your house because trust me, pets find a way to get into anything and everything. So better safe than sorry. All right. So good luck, Santos, with your family, and hopefully don't have any issues with anything like that. Okay. All right. The next question comes to us from Alyssa, who reached out through YouTube. Dr. Joy, what began as a simple cat sitting favor for my cousin has turned into a full-fledged pet adoption. I don't know much about cats, but I heard that they always land on their feet. Is that true? What about playing with strings and ribbons? Is that okay for cats? So, I hate to burst your bubble, but cats do not always land on their feet. Now, cats are very agile, and definitely they, a lot of times when they do fall from heights, are able to turn their body into the position where they can land on their feet or land upright, but that is not always the case. Obviously, a fall from any height can certainly be dangerous. There is something in veterinary medicine that we call high-rise syndrome, and basically it is a cat that has fallen from a certain height. Typically, these tend to be people that live in condos or houses that are, say, higher than 2 stories. Typically those are the cats that come in with high-rise syndrome. I actually had a cat that came in about 3 weeks ago that fell 13 floors, which technically I didn't really think. I mean, I know we have a 13th floor, but nobody ever labels it as that in buildings. But the owner, actually, the cat was on a balcony and went to go try and chase a bird and jumped too far and slipped and fell. Now, thankfully, this cat did not have very severe injuries, basically had a broken leg, which I was actually able to fix. But that cat is extremely, extremely lucky. So listen, the fact of the matter is, let's not test this theory about cats landing on their feet. feet. Yes, a lot of times they can land on their feet, but it is not a fact, okay? And as far as playing with string and ribbons, I don't think there necessarily is a problem with it, but I would not leave any type of toy that has string or ribbon on it out to have a cat play with it unattended, because cats will chew things, they will eat things. String and ribbon and hair ties are some of the number one foreign bodies that we tend to see in cats. And in particular, these type of objects, not only can they cause an obstruction, but they cause what we call a linear foreign body. And when linear foreign bodies, it's more likely for the intestines to rupture, or what we call perforate, which can be deadly. So if you do have some type of string or ribbon toy, that is okay. All right. But you want to make sure that it is secure and is not, going to break off of the toy where the cat could swallow it. Or if you are playing with it, you want to make sure that it's supervised, okay? And I probably wouldn't recommend young children playing with those types of toys with your cat, because they might not know what to look out for if the cat starts really chewing on it or maybe starts to eat it. So best to keep those toys away. Let's go over some tips to pet proof your home. Kind of number one, same thing as it is with children, is going to be lock up your medications, okay? Dogs, cats, they will get into anything. They will eat anything. Even if you think the medicine tastes horrible, they can still get into it. So definitely make sure medications are kind of in those child-proof containers. And then actually remember, dogs and cats, they can chew. So they can chew through the plastic. So the best thing to do is make sure you keep them some type of cabinet, some type of drawer away from them to where they can't get to them. Another thing is hide electrical cords. Definitely, electrical burns can be really severe in your pet. Another thing is anchor large furniture, okay? Cats and dogs, they love running around, and sometimes they can get the zoomies and they can be going too crazy. And next thing you know, they hit a very large table, and that table could fall. That table could fall on them and could cause an injury. So definitely you want to anchor large furniture, okay? Toxic plants. You don't need them in your house, okay? You don't need them around. If you like a plant that is toxic, maybe get the fake version of it, okay? If you like looking at it, but definitely you don't want those plants in your house. You need to be better safe than sorry. And another one that we tend to see is trash cans. Trash cans can cause so many problems. The big thing is you want a trash can that's got locking lids, okay? Or that is maybe in a location, like some people have an area where they put their trash can underneath their sink or in a drawer in their kitchen, because so many times I get pets that come in that have gotten into the trash can. Not only is it going to cause a mess in your house, but certainly they can ingest some things in the trash can that certainly could cause some problems, could cause severe gastrointestinal upset, and could even cause a foreign body, could require surgery. All right, guys. So we got another question from our website, and this is going to be from allhealthtv.com. And this question is going to come to us from Rocco. Hey, Doc, we got a Doberman puppy and hired a professional pet proofer to handle the inside of the house, but forgot all about the outside, especially the backyard. What you got for us, Doc? All right. So basically, if you hired someone to pet proof the inside of your house, maybe they took a look at the outside of the house. Maybe they didn't. Okay. If they didn't, all right. What I definitely recommend is number one thing that's going to be toxic or can cause problem outside is going to be plants. Okay. Just like toxic plants inside the house, need to be careful about toxic plants outside of the house. So best thing to do is honestly, I know that sometimes as doctors, we tell pet owners not to Google things, but Google can definitely give you some good resources. The ASPCA, they have a poison control hotline, and they actually have a very good list of toxic plants on their website. So that's definitely something that I would check out and kind of see if any of your plants you have outside could be on that list. And if they are, then you definitely need to remove them. Another one hazard, especially for people that live in the warmer climates, especially people in South Florida, is going to be your pools, guys. Not only is it a hazard to children, it is a hazard to pets. And unfortunately, I have seen some pets that have drowned. Definitely you want to make sure you either have those devices in your pool that will alert you if something goes into the water, either some type of fence around it, or honestly, teaching your pet where the ladder, where the steps are. That is really good because you never know, okay? They could somehow even jump over the fence, or the fence could fall over and they could get in the pool. But you need to be able to teach them how to get out of the pool. And that's definitely something that, can be done and that pets can learn. Another thing that people tend to forget about is hot tubs, guys, hot tub saunas. I have seen a couple, unfortunately, drownings, especially with puppies that got into a hot tub or a sauna. So definitely when you're not using your hot tub, you want to make sure that it's secure and you have some type of lid over it. So, pets and kids can't get into it. All right. All right. We got another question from our Facebook page, and this one is from Cleo. Hi, Dr. Carter. If you had to pick which room is the most dangerous room in the house? Oh my God. So, as far as what room is the most dangerous one in the house, that's kind of a little bit of a hard question. But I would say probably my number one would be the kitchen, Cleo, just because there is a lot of things that are hazardous in the kitchen. Just like we talked about the trash can. Trash can, can be super dangerous, especially as far as items that you put in the trash can that pets can ingest. Obviously, in your kitchen, there tends to be a lot of sharp objects. You have scissors, you have knives, you have forks, other things like that. Certainly, sometimes pets can jump on the counter and could cut themselves that way. Or it's crazy, but I have seen pictures. Never really personally had a client's dog do this, but they have ingested silverware or a knife or swallowed something like that. And obviously that can cause a major problem. And definitely the bathtub. Maybe not so much for your larger breed dogs, but I have certainly heard stories of smaller dogs getting into the tub and actually unfortunately drowning. So definitely those rooms, I would certainly make sure that if your pet has access to them, that you are either there to be supervised, or if you're concerned that could be a hazard, put a baby gate up, close the door. Just don't let them in there, okay? All right, this is the next one from our queue, and this one comes to us from Odette. Doc Joy, let's talk about pet toys. When it comes to dogs, cats, and bunnies, what should we look for and look out for? All right. This is a really good question because not a lot of people think about toys for their rabbits. Okay. So we talked kind of earlier about rabbits and what they like to do. They like to chew, they like to dig, and they like to hide. Okay. So really good chew toys for rabbits, toys for rabbits are definitely going to be some type of chew toys. Things such as wood, cardboard, things like that, definitely really good for them. Tunnels. Okay. Cats like to hide. So they have these little houses, these little tunnels they can kind of go in through. That's really good. Digging boxes is another one. Okay. Definitely you want to make sure that it is some type of material, like it could be shredded paper, it could be sand, it could actually be like a pot plant with just soil in it. But those are really good for rabbits. And then another one I would say is they like, things like balls. Okay. Definitely. I've seen some little toys that are these balls that just kind of move on their own type of thing. That's another good toy that is good for rabbits. And as far as for cats, puzzles. Cats love digging into things and they're very curious. So I've seen some of these toys that kind of have like puzzles. Those are really good. I would say these fish toys. You can get these fish toys that you put in the water and they will kind of swim around and the cats can kind of paw at them. Also, things a laser light. That is a cheap toy and that will keep your cat entertained for quite a while. Cats love chasing light. So one of those little laser light pins is really good. Same thing with rabbits. They like things to hide in. So tunnels, especially in cat houses or cat towers, I guess you could say, they sometimes have little nooks and crannies for them to hide in. And then balls, toys that have balls in them, feathers. There's all kind of toys out there. Just go on Amazon and type in cat toys and you're going to find some really cool stuff. I was actually doing that the other day to get some toys for my cats. As far as for dogs, okay? Dogs, actually something I saw really cool the other day advertised is something called a pupsicle. So basically it's kind of like a little chew toy that it looks like you can freeze certain types of treats and you put it in there. It's made out of some type of kind of rubber material that's safe. And basically they kind of have to chew on it and then whatever the ingredients are that you put inside kind of have to melt a little bit, but it keeps them very active. Another thing would be just your regular tennis ball or any other type of ball. But I will say this, you do need to be careful with larger breed dogs, okay? You want to make sure that you get tennis balls that are a little bit larger size, because I have seen dogs before get those balls stuck in the back of the throat and they can basically choke on them and die. So for your larger breed dogs, you want to make sure you have a ball that they can't really, that's going to fit inside their mouth. Something they can grab onto, but just something that's a little bit bigger than a tennis ball. Different types of chew toys are perfectly fine. Definitely don't recommend getting any type of chew toy that's going to look or mimic something that you don't want them to chew on. So those toys that kind of look like shoes, newspapers, other things like that, they're not going to be able to tell the difference. So better stay away from that. Well, if you guys have any other questions, please just send it to us and hopefully I can answer it on the next show. And hopefully I helped you guys pet proof your home and make your pets safe. So I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Health Channel podcast. We hope this information has been useful. However, please remember that only your doctor can advise you about what is best for you. Do not start, modify, or suspend treatment based on anything you have heard on this podcast. Please join us again soon.